Namaste, everybody. I know that we are just kind of turning a corner here, and many of you are really in this process of, okay, now that I'm aware of all of these things, or maybe not even aware yet of some things, what do I do with it? And where are we going from here? Well, as you know, this particular topic is self-trust. I want to talk specifically about what I would call mind, body, spirit. Now, we've all heard about this before. Some people say mind, body, soul. It's really, you know, in regards to spirituality, soul, spirit, a little bit similar. Some people have, there's a lot of Christianity, especially here over in the States, over in the West. A lot of people would refer to mind, body, soul as Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit. And I just want to take a minute and just acknowledge that. And a lot of people refer to the mind as the intellect. Now, when you look at the definition of mind, you'll find that it's not necessarily the brain. I mean, the brain is kind of part of it, the intellectual is part of it, but there's a much bigger infinite intelligence at work. For the first piece of self-awareness, we were really kind of looking at where's the disconnect? Where's the disconnect between the intellect and the infinite intelligence? That Father in me, that beautiful creative mind within me. What's happening? What am I noticing? And I asked you to really start noticing what's coming up for you. What's coming up in terms of thoughts? What's coming up in terms of feelings? And what are you noticing in terms of your perception? Notice whether or not you're more left brain or right brain. Notice how your energy is moving, how it's flowing. These are all things that really began to build your self-awareness and your consciousness. And then we're now turning a corner, that piece of it that is really that body. And many people, when they hear body, they think about physical exercise. They think about overall disease or illness, etc. And yes, that is part of it. And it's a big part of it. And as you saw in the self-awareness intros, I gave you some suggestions for how you can start moving your energies by physically using your body, using Eden techniques, things like this. But what I'd like to also open you to is, if you go back to the Christianity model for just a moment, and Father, Son. Well, Son, oftentimes they show, you know, immaculate conception, and you see the heart, okay? This is heart. We're not really stepping into heart intelligence. So we have the intellect from the head, and now we have the intellect from the heart. And we're really moving into this part. And so as I talk about mind, body, spirit, I'm referring to head, heart, hara, or Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Again, there's all different words depending on your upbringing, your beliefs, your culture, your religion, all of that. There's so many different ways of saying this, but I'm really giving you something to sit with so that you can discern for yourself what feels good to you. So we're beginning to look at when it comes time to really step into my wholeness, my truth, when it comes to trusting myself, who I am, my intuition, where am I getting hung up? And especially around the heart, we have emotions that can get blocked. And when emotions get blocked, what starts to happen is our energies can become depressed. Just sit with this and notice as you were kind of building this self-awareness and you're asking yourself some of the deeper questions, looking at some of the themes for yourself. Did you notice any feelings of not being good enough? Did you notice any feelings of not feeling worthy? Did you notice any feelings of judgment, how judgmental you might be, or you have perfectionist tendencies? Maybe you don't feel deserving. Maybe you have a fear of success, which is flip side of the coin, a fear of failure. Perhaps there's jealousy. These are all forms of self-sabotage, and that's what today's topic is really about. We're starting to dive into that. When we look, outside of ourselves. We oftentimes are seeing others in our lives who are mirroring either something that we're currently letting go of, and we're saying, no more, thank you very much for showing me what I no longer want in my life, or they're coming in and they're mirroring something that we're currently experiencing. Either we are stepping into that piece of ourselves a little more fully, or they're coming at us really strongly and we're recognizing that this is something within ourselves that really is needing to shift. That fear of failure, that fear of being wrong, that fear of being rejected, that all comes in around the idea of self-love. And then you also have that fear of losing control. Really wanting to get in there, understand it, wanting to analyze it, that left brain wanting to control. That is really a place where there's an invitation for you just to let go and to surrender. And of course, there's the fear of not being recognized, not being seen, that fear of not being valued. And that has to do with you not really appreciating yourself, not really coming forward, perhaps hiding, or to the other extreme, having to be boastful, or, you know, not admit that, hey, I need an eyebrow wax. That's why I don't want to turn the lights on, you know, because we had our ego comes out and says, no, you can't say that. Wow, I can't believe you're actually going to say that. Yes, it's okay to say, because I'm being authentic, I'm being honest. And that is really, really important, is that you can put yourself in that space and kind of just let go of the ego or caring about how you look or how other people think of you and that type of thing. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start to open up the emotional centers in the heart a little bit more today. We're going to begin to dive into that space using a guided meditation. As we do this, I'm going to invite you to move into what I'm calling a house of healing. For you, it might be, you know, something very different. It might not even be what looks like a house. Again, when I give suggestions or ideas as I'm guiding you into meditation, please follow your truth. Notice what's coming in for you. I might say something like, oh, and right now the sky is blue. I usually don't do something like that, but if I did, and you're getting the sky as orange, please follow your truth. Just keep going with whatever's coming in. So whatever intentions that you have kind of set for yourself in terms of self-awareness, like, oh my gosh, I've noticed this about myself, or yes, this is a big theme for me lately. I'd like for you just to notice that. I also want to mention that in the energy fields, when we're dealing with the body in particular, we're having to recognize a couple different areas that all kind of tie into the different chakra systems. And I've talked about chakras just a little bit, but it's really just where things can get stuck in terms of energy. And so as we ground, as we root, as we settle down into our body, there's lots of stuff that can start to come up. When somebody has self-identity issues, they're not grounded, nor are they seeing themselves. That's really, really key. So there's all this stuff that starts to come up in us where the universe is giving us signs. Just become aware. Notice what's coming up for you. Notice the stories you keep telling yourself. Notice the thoughts that keep coming in your head. This is really going to be helpful for you, because we're going to start now to uncover some of this a little bit deeper as we go into meditation. As we move into the body, recognize that as things get stuck, you know, I mentioned in the Q&A, do things that are going to move you differently, because if your energy's stuck, sometimes you could think about it all day long and it's not going to do anything. You could cry emotionally and release it and try your best to release it, and it's just not coming up. So you have to physically move, get out and walk, or if you're in the shower, take the bar of soap, or, you know, the loofah, whatever you're using, and put it in the opposite hand of what you're using. Use the opposite hand to brush your teeth. All of this is going to be extremely helpful to start moving. This is why I suggested do things a little bit different. Walk backwards, hug trees, get out into the earth. Earthing is part of the body, part of the rooting, part of the grounding. So if you haven't yet done that, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Otherwise, it could be much more challenging for you as we go forward. So please make a point to begin to do this and begin to add this to your routine. If anything else, it's fun. As we're moving forward, relax into it. Remember just to be open to whatever comes in. And if nothing happens, remember, even nothing is something. So lean into that and just notice what comes up for you. Goal of this, why we're doing this, I'm not even sure if it's going to happen at all in this course for everyone, and that's okay. But the goal of why we want to be able to integrate the mind, the body, the spirit, and begin to really be able to move into wholeness is because what happens is, just like when you're becoming aware of the fact that you have a thought, and then you're aware that you're not the thought, you're the person realizing that there's a thought, or you're realizing there's a song playing in my head. I'm not the one who's playing the song. I'm the one who's recognizing there's a song playing in my head. When you move beyond that and you recognize that you're not even that you're not the observed, which is the song, and you're not the observer, which is the one who's observing the song, but in fact, you're something beyond that. What happens is you open up what some teachers call a gap, and you move into what many teachings call equanimity. And when you move into equanimity, you are moving into, according to Wikipedia, a space that's achieved through spiritual practice. And Christians actually use equanimity. They have for a while, depending on the religion. It comes from a Latin word. It's Equanimitas. I didn't study Latin, but aquanimitas, maybe. But it means having an even mind or soul. In yoga, there's also a sutra, Patanjali, and they also talk about equanimity. So if you're familiar with Hindu religion, it's also Brahman. It's the only reality, really. It's our only true nature. In other words, we're releasing all the illusion, we release all the duality, and we simply are. We just simply are. And that's the ultimate goal for all of us. And to just experience that for just a moment, just to slip into that gap and just be in that beautiful place of equanimity is just such a gift. And it's my hope that all of you experience that during our time together, just for a moment, just to lean into it, just to settle it. If it doesn't happen today, if it doesn't happen next time, or even months from now, that's okay. But I just want you to be aware that it does exist. That is your trueness. That is your reality. I'm just simply lighting the way for you because I've experienced it many, many times. And it's just, there's nothing. I cannot even put it into words, the experience of that when you step fully into your wholeness and into your truth. So what I'd like for everybody to do is to just prepare. And how you prepare is you just set an intention, if you will, and set an intention with yourself in terms of, these are some of the patterns that I've been noticing. These are some of the things that came up during self-awareness, whatever that is for you. And then don't be attached to the interpretation of what you think that's supposed to mean. Okay, just let that go. Because kind of like you have, you go to the eye doctor and you can only read so many lines right now because you don't have the right prescription or the right lenses. And so your perception is most likely wrong in terms of what you think it is. So just have an idea of it. And today we're gonna really move you into a spot where you're gonna get fitted with some nice, beautiful lenses so things become much more clear, okay? I'm going to dim the lights on my side just a little bit. I invite you to do the same. Just get comfortable if you would. Feet flat on the floor, spine straight. We're still in that space. Next time that we meet, I will begin to invite you into being in a more comfortable spot. But for now, especially since we're just diving into self-trust, just go with what you know in terms of positioning of your body, because we are now in that heart space and opening up to those emotions. So we want to do it very delicately, very gently, very warmly, and remember, very slowly, very slowly. Okay, so I'm gonna just dim my lights on my side here. All right. Taking a few breaths. Inhale and exhale. Setting that intention, whatever that is, releasing any expectation or any understanding of what that interpretation is, just throwing it out there. Noticing what might stick as you move through the soul journey today. Good. Just take a moment. If your eyes aren't closed, please allow them to close. And just begin to notice your breath. Notice where you are as you're listening to me in your energy field. Drop down out of your head and begin to breathe from the heart. And from this beautiful space, I'd like for you to set the intention that you begin to move. Allow yourself to move now deep into your entire vehicle, your entire vessel, your entire body. In other words, any energies that aren't yet dispersed deep down into your feet, down into your legs, down into your toes. That you really feel that happening. And not just the front of you or underneath you, but also behind you, and to the left of you, and to the right of you. Really secure yourself in that beautiful body, your God-given vessel, as you continue to breathe from the heart. Find your center, whatever works for you. Bringing your awareness to your feet. I'd like for you to imagine that you're standing in front of a house of healing. It might feel more comfortable to refer to it as a personal temple, so to speak. Whatever works for you. Just give yourself permission to notice any smells, fragrances in the air, what the temperature might be like, any sounds. Just bring in the colors. Notice the breeze. Perhaps there's a warmth. Just this soothing understanding deep within you that this is the house of healing, a space of healing. And I'd like for you to imagine that in a moment when you move into this space, that there are 3 rooms inside, and that each room represents for you your mind, your body, and your spirit. In whatever way that looks like to you, now that you understand it a little more. And then just as you understand it and know it based on how I explained it, remember to release that and let it go, so that that old perception can begin anew. I'd like for you to feel yourself now either allowing that door to open on its own, or perhaps there's a handle or a gate. Just notice the opening, the entrance. as you feel your feet moving into this healing space. As you move into this first room representing the mind, just notice how it feels. Just be aware of the colors, the temperature. Notice whether it's furnished, whether it feels more outdoorsy, or whether it feels like you're more indoors. Just simply be aware of how it's presenting itself to you. This is the energies that represent the mind. And remember, it's beyond the intellect. In this energy, in this space, to allow your higher self to lead you as you begin to notice the thoughts, the beliefs that reside here. Notice the self-talk that often plays. Notice the stories that often repeat. Notice your perception of the world. And your perception of yourself. Continue to stay centered and allow it to come to you easily and gracefully. As you relax even deeper into it, just notice what's coming in terms of patterns, and be aware of the theme. Perhaps it's doubt or negativity. Maybe it's judgment. Any themes that seem to present themselves to you that you've been holding on to that really no longer serve you anymore. Notice what higher self is bringing in. You are even wanting to analyze this, since this is the room of the mind after all. I invite you to release that and simply relax into it. In a moment, I'll be inviting you to move into that second room, which represents the body. Take just a few moments, if you would, and just gather anything that feels like your higher self would like you to take with you, that corresponds and somehow connects. And as you begin to move into that second room, I'd like for you to notice the energy. Notice the colors. This represents the body, the heart. Be aware of the temperature. Be aware of the lighting. And somewhere in this space, I'd like for you to notice where you're being drawn to relax. Wherever that is, I'd like for you to settle in for just a bit. As you relax, Just notice where you are in your energy field once again. Release any expectation. Continue to trust your higher self to lead. Allow your inner wisdom, your higher self, to help you, to begin to show you specific movements that you can do, specific things that you can do with your body when it comes to those repetitive thoughts, those repetitive patterns, those repetitive beliefs that no longer serve you. Notice what you're being guided to do as we go into another interlude of silence. Continue to trust what's coming in. Begin to see your body moving, bending, whatever it is you're being called to do in terms of shifting and repositioning, allowing the transformation to begin. Remember, if it feels like you're guessing or if you're making it up, it's okay. Step into it. Trust it. You're envisioning yourself moving a certain way, swaying or dancing. something outside of you moving. Whatever it is, trust it and know it as your truth. Notice whether or not there's more than one movement. Release the need to want to pair the movement with the belief or to marry the thought with the sway or with the dance or whatever it is you're receiving. Release that. Simply trust that your vessel, your physical being, is giving you the clues as to what you can do to begin to move your energies in a way that will begin to dislodge doubt, that will open your self-trust, that will enhance your intuition a little more. Feel yourself leaning into this energy. Imagine yourself physically stepping into it. Opening up those lower energies, those lower chakras, feeling it in the legs, feeling it in the feet, allowing yourself to open in the hips. Drawing it in through the fingers, up through the elbows, the biceps, the triceps, allowing yourself to shoulder it. In a way that you can allow and trust and embrace. Continue to breathe. Opening to the guidance of your higher self. In a moment, you'll be moving into that third room. This third room represents the spirit. Notice what your higher self is guiding you to do in terms of movement, to transition. And when you're ready, I'd like for you to allow yourself to transition into that third room representing spirit. Again, noticing any colors, noticing even smells, aware of the energies in this room. Allowing yourself to get very comfortable here. Again, noticing the breath. Just taking a moment to breathe in how peaceful and how supportive it feels to be here. Aware of any sounds that welcome you. This place is uniquely yours. It supports you in every way. It's a place of safety and security and inner alignment. Just breathe that in. Just notice what it feels like to allow yourself to feel trusting, to feel open, to feel nurtured, to feel held. Just allow your inner guidance, your higher self, to bring into your awareness anything that you may have held in terms of resistance, or anything that held you apart from your soul desires, maybe even for a long time. Perhaps you've wanted something so deeply, yet you were too afraid to look at it. Just give yourself permission to lean into it here. Trust your spirit. Allow it to show you the way. Give it permission to nurture you and to feed you in a way that feels good. Just notice how it's growing and expanding, how it widens and contracts. Just be aware of the breath as you fill it with the breath. Breathing deeply. Notice how the spirit moves. Notice how it speaks to you. How it envelops you. How you perceive it. As you continue to relax in this beautiful sacred space, I'd like for you to imagine that you're moving into a very comfortable chair. One of those chairs that when you lie down on it, you're just like, oh, this is really nice. And just give yourself permission to sink right into its comfort in this beautiful room representing the spiritual, beautiful you. In a moment, you're going to hear me count backwards from 5 to 1. And as I do, I'd like for you to imagine that beautiful, comfortable space that you're in, and that wonderful, cozy chair gives you that beautiful invitation to lower down, down, deeper within yourself in a nice, secure, gentle, slow way. And 5, sinking deeper and deeper. And 4, down, down. And 3, more and more relaxed. 2, and 1. As you feel yourself going deeper within, recognize the importance of not only taking your spiritual self with you and all of the knowledge that you have from the intellect and from the mind, but also the importance of taking your body, your heart, along for the ride. Your higher self, your inner wisdom is giving you insights now as to how you can align, how you can allow those thoughts, those feelings, and that spiritual understanding to begin to merge, to deepen in a way that your self-trust expands. As you feel yourself standing for a moment, getting up from this beautiful, comfortable chair that has lowered you into the depths of your being, I'd like for you to notice now how your body moves in oneness with your breath. Be aware of how you can feel the feelings and be at ease. Simply notice that beautiful flow, the movement of your soul, of the body, of the mind, of your oneness, of your connection to the earth. Of your oneness with the sky, And now allow that vibration to embed itself in your being as a code. Allow your higher self, your inner wisdom, to continue to guide you in a way that you can trust, in a way that you can understand, in a way that permeates in this moment and in this now. Take a moment and notice any last words of wisdom that your higher self has for you. As you notice, continue to breathe and to remain centered and to allow it to come in with grace and ease. Recognize that you've gone to a new level within yourself. This deeper level has always been there. It's been awaiting you to recognize it once again. Just send some gratitude in whatever way feels good to you. Allowing the intellect to gather any details, any insights, any tips that will help you in your movement, that will help you with self-trust, that will help you open to your inner flow. Taking just a few more deep breaths. Beginning to literally and physically wiggle your fingers, move your toes. Just allow yourself to become aware of the room that you're in once again. Continue to draw in those deep breaths as you settle into your new intuitive understandings. And one, slowly beginning to come back into the room. And 2, continuing to send gratitude for this new depth of wisdom. And 3, in your own time, in your own way, in your own pace, eyes awake and feeling great. So as you could feel and begin to understand, in order for you to open your intuition and fully trust yourself, it's necessary that you take your body along. I many times tell people that when it comes time to connect with spirit, when it comes time to connect with angels and loved ones, with spirit guides and animal totems, they're much like a satellite out in orbit. And if we don't have a fixed position, if we're not grounded, how can they connect to us? And so what we're doing now is we're beginning to deepen your level of this understanding by really strengthening your self-trust and allowing your intuition to flow through you in all ways, in all channels, from above your head, down, all the way through your toes. And the more that you give yourself permission to go within, and the more that you follow your inner wisdom, the more clear your intuition becomes. So between now and our next module, what you experience today, the movements that you were guided to do, what's happening as you begin to move, what it is you're noticing. What I will tell you is that I have done this personally before. The first time that I did this, it was like I lost coordination. It was strange. So I will give you this kind of as a heads up. It's possible. I love popcorn. And I was making popcorn one night. And you turn the popcorn kettle, and I've done it many times, as you can imagine. And when I started doing this, it was really kind of crazy because I put the popcorn in the bowl, salted it, shook it up, went to sit down in my living room. And as I was sitting there, all I did was went to take a piece of popcorn and the whole bowl went flying. And the popcorn went everywhere. And I was like, what in the heck just happened? I get up and I start to put the popcorn in, and I went to sit back down and the bowl fell again the opposite way. And I was like, this is what my spiritual teacher at the time meant. Is you start your movement, this is a good thing. If and when this happens, I want you to know this is good. That being said, for those of you who are on ice, who are out in weather, please watch your step. Get some cleats, because as you start to move differently, your muscles kind of forget a little bit of that old thing, and they're kind of asking you, where should I go now? And so just recognize that, stay present, stay in your body, stay aware. As we're doing this is really not the time to kind of check out on yourself. Okay, so I'll give you that just kind of as a heads up.